What Rome was really like in the year 100. Stand in modern Rome for a moment. Traffic hums past ancient stone. Scooters weave through narrow streets. Tourists gather in front of monuments that feel timeless, massive, solid, eternal. The Colosseum rises like a symbol of power. The Roman Forum stretches out as a preserved memory. The city feels dense, alive, continuous. Now strip it all away. Remove the crowds. Silence the engines. Let the streets empty. It is the year 1000. What remains is not the Rome you recognize. The population has collapsed. From over 1 million people in the imperial age to perhaps 20,000–30,000 inhabitants. Entire districts lie abandoned. Monumental structures still stand, but not as functioning buildings. They loom as hollow shells, partially collapsed, slowly being dismantled for stone. Between them, fields appear. Livestock wander where senators once walked. The center of the ancient world has become something quieter, smaller, and far more fragile. This is Rome not at its height, but in survival. Historical context. WHO controls Rome in 1000 AD. The year 1000, Rome is no longer the capital of an empire. The Western Roman Empire had fallen more than 5 centuries earlier, in 476 AD. In its place, power in the city has shifted repeatedly, first to Ostrogothic rulers, then to Byzantine authorities, then to various local and foreign powers. But by this point, one institution defines Rome above all others: the Papacy. The Bishop of Rome, known as the Pope, is both a religious leader and a political figure. The city forms the core of what is often called the Papal States, though political control is unstable. Roman noble families, such as the Crescenti and Tusculani, compete for influence, often controlling the papacy itself. Rome in 1000 is not a unified or stable political center. Authority is fragmented. Local aristocrats dominate neighborhoods. The Pope holds spiritual authority across Western Europe, but within the city, power is constantly contested. Despite this instability, Rome still matters immensely. It is the symbolic heart of Christianity in the West. Pilgrims continue to travel from across Europe to visit the tombs of saints, especially Saint Peter. Even in decline, Rome holds a kind of gravitational pull. Urban layout: a shrunken city with an ancient walls. In the imperial period, Rome stretched across a vast urban landscape. By 1000 AD, that scale no longer reflects reality. The Aurelian walls, built in the 3rd century, still surround the city. They enclose an area far larger than the population now requires. Inside these walls, much of the land is no longer densely built. Instead, settlement is concentrated in specific zones, particularly near the Tiber River, the Vatican area, and parts of the Campus Martius. These areas remain active because they support trade, pilgrimage, and administration. Large portions of the old city are effectively abandoned. The Roman Forum, once the political and economic heart of the empire, is no longer a functioning civic center. It has become a low-lying area prone to flooding and sediment buildup. Over time, it turns into pasture land, later referred to as the Campo Vicino, the cowfield. The Palatine Hill, once home to imperial palaces, is sparsely inhabited or left in ruins. Movement through the city is uneven. Some roads remain in use, especially those connected to pilgrimage routes, but many ancient streets have deteriorated or disappeared entirely under debris and vegetation. Rome is no longer a continuous urban fabric. It is a patchwork: clusters of habitation surrounded by ruins, empty spaces, and reused land. Architecture living among the ruins. Most striking feature of Rome in 1000 is the presence of its past. Ancient structures still dominate the skyline, not because they are maintained, but because they were built to last. Massive stone construction ensures that many buildings remain standing, even after centuries of neglect. But these structures are no longer used as originally intended. The Colosseum, for example, is not an arena. It is partially collapsed and repurposed. In some cases, it is used as a fortress by noble families. In others, it becomes a source of building materials. Stone is removed, metal clamps are extracted, and pieces are reused elsewhere in the city. Temples are converted into churches where possible. This process began earlier, but continues over centuries. The Pantheon is one of the most notable examples, having been converted into a Christian church in the 7th century, which helps preserve it. Elsewhere, marble is stripped from buildings. Bronze is melted down. Decorative elements are removed. New construction in Rome around 1000 is modest. Buildings are smaller, simpler, and often constructed using recycled materials from ancient ruins, a practice known as spolia. Walls may include fragments of columns, bricks, and stones taken from older structures. Wood is used more frequently, especially in roofs and upper levels, which makes buildings more vulnerable to fire. The visual result is a city where the scale of the past overwhelms the present. Small medieval houses cluster around enormous, decaying monuments. Population and social structure. The population of Rome in 1000 AD is a fraction of what it once was. Estimates vary, but most historians agree on a range between 20,000 and 30,000 inhabitants. This is comparable to a modest medieval town, not the massive metropolis of earlier centuries. Society is structured, but not highly urbanized in the classical sense. At the top are aristocratic families who control land, fortifications, and political influence. They often live in fortified residences or towers, which serve both as homes and defensive structures. Clergy form another significant group. The church is a major landowner and employer. Monasteries, churches, and administrative centers provide structure and stability. Below them are artisans, laborers, and small-scale traders. Many residents engage in agriculture even within the city walls. This reflects the reduced urban economy and the need for local food production. There is no large middle class in the modern sense. Economic life is limited, and wealth is concentrated in relatively few hands. Slavery, as it existed in ancient Rome, has largely transformed into other forms of dependency, such as serfdom in rural areas. Within the city, labor is still hierarchical, but the structure is different from the imperial past. Daily life survival and routinely life in Rome around the year 1000 is shaped by limited resources, localized economies, and strong religious influence. Food is simple and largely locally sourced. Bread remains a staple. Vegetables, legumes, and small amounts of meat are consumed depending on availability and wealth. Wine is commonly consumed, often diluted. Markets exist, but are smaller than in the past. Trade still occurs along the Tiber River, which serves as a vital transport route. Goods such as grain, oil, and textiles move through the city, though at a reduced scale compared to earlier periods. Water supply is no longer maintained through the extensive aqueduct system that once served Rome. Many aqueducts have fallen into disrepair. Instead, residents rely on wells, fountains fed by surviving water systems, and direct access to the Tiber. Sanitation is minimal. Without functioning sewer systems on the scale of the ancient Cloaca Maxima, though parts of it still exist, waste disposal is inconsistent. Streets can be dirty, and disease is a constant risk. Life expectancy is relatively low. Illness, injury, and limited medical knowledge shape everyday existence. Despite these challenges, life is structured. People work, trade, attend religious services, and maintain social ties. The city is not dead, it is simply operating on a smaller, more constrained scale. Religion. The center of everything. Religion defines Rome in 1000 AD. The city's identity is deeply tied to Christianity, particularly the authority of the Pope. Churches are among the most important buildings in the city, both spiritually and socially. Pilgrimage plays a crucial role. Travelers come from across Europe to visit sacred sites, especially the tomb of Saint Pio, located in the area that will later become Vatican City. This influx of pilgrims supports local economies, providing income for inns, markets, and services. Religious festivals structure the calendar. Saints' days, liturgical events, and processions bring people together. Monasteries serve not only as religious centers, but also as places of learning, manuscript preservation, and limited education. In a city where political authority is unstable, The church provides continuity. It connects Rome to a wider European network, reinforcing its importance despite its reduced population, economy, and trade. A reduced but active network. Rome's economy in 1000 AD is no longer imperial, but it is not isolated. The Tiber River remains essential. It allows goods to move between Rome and the port of Ostia. Though Ostia itself has declined significantly since antiquity, trade routes connect Rome to other parts of Italy and beyond. But the volume is much smaller than during the Roman Empire. Local production becomes more important. Craftsmen produce basic goods, tools, clothing, pottery. Agriculture within and around the city provides food. The presence of pilgrims introduces an external economic factor. Their needs create demand for lodging, food, and religious items. Coin circulation exists, but barter and localized exchange are also common. Overall, the economy is functional but limited. It supports the population, but it does not generate the kind of wealth or complexity seen in larger medieval trade centers like Venice or Constantinople. Defense and conflict. A city of fortified zones. Rome in 1000 AD is not a peaceful city. Conflict often takes the form of internal power struggles rather than large-scale invasions. Noble families compete for control, leading to localized violence. Fortifications reflect this reality. Ancient walls still stand, but within the city, smaller defensive structures are more relevant. Towers, fortified houses, and enclosed compounds provide protection. Some ancient buildings are repurposed as strongholds. Their thick walls and elevated positions make them ideal for defense. The lack of centralized authority means that security is uneven. Different areas of the city may be controlled by different factions, while large foreign invasions are less frequent at this specific moment. The memory of earlier conflicts and the possibility of future ones shapes how people live. Comparison to modern Rome. WHAT remains. WHAT changed. Walking through modern Rome. It is easy to assume continuity, but the Rome of today is the result of centuries of rebuilding, expansion, and transformation. Many of the ancient structures visible today survived precisely because they were reused, repurposed, or valued in later periods. The Colosseum still stands, but it has been stabilized and preserved. In 1000, it was a partially ruined structure integrated into a very different urban environment. The Roman Forum has been excavated. In 1000, it was buried under layers of sediment and used for grazing. The city's population has grown dramatically, filling in the empty spaces that once existed within the ancient walls. Infrastructure has been rebuilt. Roads are paved, water systems restored, sanitation modernized. Perhaps the most significant difference is density and continuity. Modern Rome feels like an unbroken city. Rome in 1000 felt fragmented, like a series of settlements surrounded by the remains of something much larger. In conclusion, a city between past and future. Rome in the year 1000 is not a city of triumph. It is a city of endurance. It carries the physical weight of its past, massive structures that no longer serve their original purpose, yet refuse to disappear. It operates on a smaller scale, with fewer people, fewer resources, and less political stability, and yet, it survives, through religion, through memory, and through its position within a broader European world. Rome maintains its significance. Over the centuries that follow, the city will change again. Population will grow. Infrastructure will improve. New buildings will rise among the old. But the Rome we see today is not a direct continuation of the imperial city. It is the result of collapse, adaptation, and gradual transformation. To understand Rome now, you have to understand this moment when the greatest city of the ancient world became something quieter, smaller, and more human. A city not of empire, but of survival.